Imperial scout ships hovered at the edge of Earth's solar system, their dark hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it.
Captain Taeho Kim stood on the observation deck, his eyes fixed on the blue-green planet displayed on the massive viewscreen.
The planet looked peaceful, unaware of the danger approaching from the stars.
"Life signs are abundant," reported Officer Sunho, not looking up from his scanning equipment.
"The atmosphere is perfect for our biology. Water covers most of the surface.
Minerals and resources beyond what we've seen in the last 12 systems."
Taeho nodded, making notes on his tablet.
The Cardassian Empire had been expanding for centuries, conquering hundreds of worlds.
Most surrendered quickly.
Those that resisted were crushed within days. Earth would be no different.
"What about their defenses?" he asked.
"Primitive," Sunho replied with a small smile.
"Basic satellites. Some weapons systems.
Nothing that could stand against even one of our destroyer-class ships."
Taeho transmitted his findings to the Imperial flagship waiting beyond the system's edge.
Within minutes, his communication panel lit up with a response from Admiral Jaiwoo Park.
"Excellent work, Captain.
The Supreme Leader is pleased.
Prepare for the main fleet's arrival in 48 hours.
On Earth, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Mina Lee jolted awake as alarms blared throughout the United Defense Council's hidden command center. She had been catching a few hours of sleep after a 30-hour shift, but now sleep was forgotten. She rushed to the main control room, still buttoning her uniform jacket. "Report," she ordered, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Colonel Do-hyun looked up from his station.
"Deep space scanners detected them 2 hours ago.
They're trying to stay hidden, but our quantum sensors picked them up easily."
On the giant screen dominating the wall, small red dots indicated the positions of the alien vessels. Mina studied them carefully, noting their formation and position.
This was not an exploration mission. These ships were scouts for an invasion force.
"How many?" she asked.
"Just 3 scout ships for now," Do-hyun answered. "But the energy signatures suggest they're communicating with a much larger fleet waiting beyond our detection range."
Mina took a deep breath.
Humanity had known this day might come. For decades, they had prepared in secret, building defenses while making sure their planet appeared vulnerable and primitive to outside observers.
"Activate Protocol Thunderstorm," she ordered. "But keep everything in stealth mode. Let them think we're defenseless." Throughout the planet, hidden facilities hummed to life as Earth's secret defense grid powered up. On the far side of the moon, weapon systems previously disguised as ordinary craters prepared for battle. In orbit, defense platforms disguised as space debris ran silent system checks. Deep under the oceans, submarine bases launched surveillance drones that looked like ordinary fish. In Tokyo, President Ji Soo-yoon was woken by her security team at 3 a.m. She rubbed sleep from her eyes as she was briefed on the situation. "How long have we known about them?" she asked her advisors. "We detected signs of their civilization 3 years ago," replied Defense Minister Hyunbin.
"Our deep space telescopes picked up the destruction of a planet in the Proxima Centauri system.
We've been tracking their expansion ever since." President Yoon nodded grimly. "And our defenses?" "Ready, Madam President. General Lee reports that all systems are operational."
In space, unaware of Earth's preparations, Captain Taeho Kim continued his observations. He zoomed in on cities, noting the movement of vehicles, the lights of buildings, the ordinary patterns of a species that had no idea they were being watched. "They go about their lives so normally," he mused.
"Tomorrow they will wake to a new reality as subjects of the Empire." Officer Sunho laughed.
"If they're smart, they'll surrender immediately.
The last planet that tried to fight lasted only 30 hours.
I don't expect this one to last even that long," Taeho replied. "There's no indication they have any idea we're here." His scanner beeped softly, indicating a message from the fleet. He read it and smiled. "The invasion timetable has been moved up. The main fleet will arrive in 24 hours. On Earth, General Mina Lee received the same information from her monitoring systems. She gathered her commanders for a final briefing. Let them come, she said, her eyes hard with determination.
They think we're helpless. That misconception will be their downfall.
Around the table, her officers nodded in grim agreement.
Earth had prepared for this moment for generations. The invaders expected an easy conquest.
Instead, they would face humanity's fury. The sky above Earth changed in an instant. Where there had been empty space, now massive warships appeared, tearing through the fabric of reality itself.
The Cardassian invasion fleet had arrived, 50 ships strong, their hulls gleaming with dark metal that absorbed sunlight rather than reflecting it. Commander Juno Kong stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Conquest, watching as Earth grew larger on the main viewscreen.
He had participated in 12 planetary invasions during his career, and this one looked to be among the easiest.
Scan their defenses again, he ordered the crew.
I want to know exactly what we're facing. Officer Min Jae tapped at his console, analyzing the data streaming in. Their military forces are divided into separate national units.
No unified command structure detected.
Their most advanced weapons are ballistic missiles and primitive fighter aircraft. They have some satellites in orbit, mostly for communication and observation.
Juno nodded with satisfaction. No energy shields? No orbital defense platforms?
None that we can detect, Commander, Min Jae confirmed.
They appear to be at least 200 years behind Cardassian technology.
On the command deck above them, Supreme Leader Dong Han Choi watched the proceedings with cool interest. The Empire had conquered hundreds of worlds, and Earth would be just another trophy in their collection. He adjusted his ornate uniform and approached the communication station. Prepare to broadcast the standard ultimatum, he instructed. Use all their major languages. Within minutes, every radio, television, and digital device on Earth received the same message: People of Earth, this is Supreme Leader Dong Han Choi of the Cardassian Empire.
Your planet now belongs to us.
Submit to our rule, and you may live as subjects of the Empire.
Resist, and face complete destruction. You have 1 hour to instruct your leaders to surrender.
In the underground command center beneath Seoul, President Jisoo Yoon sat with military leaders from around the world, watching the alien ships on their monitors. The massive vessels had positioned themselves strategically around the planet, hovering over major cities. They're trying to intimidate us, General Mina Lee observed calmly.
Classic show of force. Defense Minister Hyun Jin glanced at his tablet. The largest ship is over New York. Others are positioned above London, Beijing, Moscow, and here in Seoul.
Their weapon systems are active but not yet targeting. President Yoon leaned forward, her expression determined.
Are all our systems ready? Yes, Madam President, General Mina confirmed.
Everything is in position and operational, but still in stealth mode. The aliens have no idea what's waiting for them.
Good, President Yoon nodded.
Have our forces continue to appear disorganized.
Let them think we're scrambling in panic.
On the surface, human military forces moved in seemingly chaotic patterns. Fighter jets took off from bases around the world, careful to use only conventional radar systems. Army units deployed to cities, where civilians had already begun evacuating through predetermined routes.
From the Cardassian flagship, Commander Juno observed these movements with amusement.
Look at them scurrying about, he remarked to his officers. Their aircraft are approaching our ships, but they're so slow we could shoot them down with training weapons.
Supreme Leader Dong Han joined him at the observation window. Any response to our ultimatum?
Nothing official yet, Juno replied.
Their media networks are in chaos.
Their military forces appear to be acting independently, with no coordination.
Dong Han smiled coldly.
Prepare the first wave of dropships. Target their major government buildings and military installations.
I want their leadership structure eliminated in the first strike. Throughout the invasion fleet, troops prepared for battle.
The Caraxians were a tall, powerful species with natural armor plating along their limbs and backs. They had evolved as predators and had turned that evolutionary advantage toward conquering the stars. Captain Hyun Jin Bae led his soldiers onto a dropship, checking their weapons.
Remember your training, he instructed them.
These primitives may have numbers, but they don't have our technology or our strength.
This will be over quickly. The dropship bay doors opened, and hundreds of smaller craft launched from the main vessels, streaking toward Earth's atmosphere.
Their pilots were confident, having done this many times before on other worlds. In the command center, President Yoon watched the dropships approach. The time for deception was nearly over. She turned to General Mina, nodding once. "They've committed their forces," she said quietly.
"Send our response." General Mina opened a channel that would reach the Cardassian flagship.
Her message was brief: "You have made a grave miscalculation." On the Eternal Conquest, Supreme Leader Donghun heard the message and laughed.
"Their bravado is amusing. Let's show them what real power looks like."
He gave the order to begin the bombardment of Earth's major cities, not realizing that in moments, his invasion force would face a defense unlike any they had encountered before. The Cardassian dropships descended through Earth's atmosphere like deadly metal raindrops.
Captain Hyunjin Bei led the first wave, targeting the heart of New York City.
From his command seat, he watched the city grow larger through the viewscreen. Towers of glass and steel reached upward, primitive structures that would soon submit to Cardassian rule. Primitive aircraft approaching, his pilot reported casually. Earth fighters attempting to intercept. Through the side cameras, Hyunjin observed Earth's jets moving to engage them.
The aircraft looked laughably outdated compared to Cardassian technology.
He smiled at their futile courage.
"Ignore them," he ordered.
"They don't have weapons that can penetrate our shields."
"Focus on the landing zone." Similar scenes played out above London, Beijing, Moscow, and Seoul as the invasion force pushed downward.
The Cardassians had conquered hundreds of worlds using the same strategy: quick decapitation strikes against government and military targets, followed by mass deployment of ground forces. In the flagship orbiting above, Supreme Leader Donghun Choi watched with satisfaction. "The first wave will secure landing zones within minutes," he noted to his commanders.
"The second wave can begin deployment immediately after." Commander Juno nodded in agreement. "This planet's resistance is even weaker than we anticipated. Their aircraft don't even."
His words were cut short as warning alarms suddenly blared throughout the flagship. Red lights flashed across control panels as sensors detected unexpected energy signatures.
"What's happening?"
Donghun demanded, his composure momentarily shaken. On Earth's moon, concealed beneath the dusty surface of what appeared to be ordinary craters, massive weapon systems powered up.
Panels of lunar dust slid away, revealing gleaming metal beneath. Giant cannons rotated, aiming precisely at the Cardassian fleet.
In Earth orbit, what had appeared to be harmless satellites and space debris suddenly transformed.
Small objects expanded, unfolding into sleek defense platforms bristling with advanced weaponry.
Their camouflage systems deactivated, revealing technology that rivaled or even surpassed that of the invaders.
Deep beneath Earth's surface, missile silos hidden under fake farms and forests opened.
From oceans around the world, submarines that had been waiting silently launched upward, their payloads not the primitive nuclear weapons the Cardassians had detected, but something far more advanced. General Mina Lee stood in the command center, watching it all unfold on holographic displays.
"All defense systems, engage," she ordered calmly.
"Target priority is dropships first, then support vessels. Hold fire on the flagship until my command." Above New York, Captain Hyunjin's confident smile vanished as his sensor officer screamed in panic.
"Multiple energy signatures. Weapons locking on from all directions." "Impossible," Hyunjin snapped. "Their technology isn't."
His words died as the first wave of quantum phase missiles struck his dropship formation.
The missiles passed through the Cardassian shields as if they didn't exist, their warheads detonating with precision. 3 dropships disintegrated instantly. Evasive maneuvers.
Hyunjin shouted, gripping his command chair as his pilot threw the ship into a desperate roll.
"Report. What weapons are they using?" "Unknown technology," his weapons officer replied, voice shaking. "The shields aren't registering them at all."
In orbit, Commander Juno watched in horror as Earth's hidden defenses revealed themselves. What had seemed like a primitive planet had suddenly transformed into a fortress world.
The tactical display showed Cardassian ships being targeted from multiple directions simultaneously. How is this possible? Supreme Leader Donghun demanded, his face pale with shock. Their technology, they shouldn't have this capability. They hid it from us, Juno realized, understanding dawning on his face.
Everything we saw was a deception.
From Earth's surface, swarms of autonomous combat drones rose into the atmosphere, surrounding the descending dropships.
Unlike the primitive jets the Caraxians had dismissed, these drones moved with impossible speed and coordination.
They attacked in perfect formation, their weapons cutting through Cardassian armor with ease.
In London, Seoul, Moscow, and Beijing, the same scene played out. The first wave of the invasion force, expected to establish easy control, instead found themselves caught in a perfectly executed trap.
On the lunar surface, the massive defense cannons fired in synchronized sequence, each shot precisely calculated. Beams of concentrated energy tore through space, striking the larger Cardassian support ships.
Their shields flared bright blue before failing completely. Supreme Leader Donghun stared at the tactical display in disbelief as red indicators flashed, showing ship after ship taking critical damage. The invasion that was supposed to be completed within hours was falling apart in minutes.
"Order immediate retreat," he shouted.
"All ships, emergency withdrawal." But even as he gave the command, the flagship shuddered violently. Emergency lights activated as systems began to fail throughout the massive vessel.
"What was that?" he demanded. "Targeted EMP weapons," an officer reported, voice trembling. "Our engines are disabled. Communications are failing. We can't retreat."
In just 11 minutes since Earth's defenses had activated, the mighty Cardassian invasion force that had conquered hundreds of worlds lay in ruins. The trap had been sprung, and humanity's carefully concealed might had been revealed. The air was thick with tension as Maya stood at the edge of the old bridge, her fingers gripping the rusted metal railing. The river below churned with memories she couldn't escape. Years of silence, years of hidden pain, had led her to this moment.
Jacob had no idea what was coming.
No idea how deeply he had hurt her. The photograph in her pocket felt like a burning coal against her skin, proof of everything.
Years of betrayal compressed into a single moment of crystal-clear revelation.
She remembered the first time she discovered his lies.
It wasn't dramatic. Just a simple text message accidentally left open on his phone.
A message that changed everything. Her world didn't crash dramatically, it simply shifted, like tectonic plates moving silently beneath the surface of her understanding.
The small town seemed to hold its breath.
Autumn leaves drifted around her, brown and brittle, mirroring the fragility of her broken trust. Maya had always been quiet, observant. People mistook her silence for weakness.
They were wrong. Her plan was simple. Devastating, but simple.
She would expose everything not with anger, but with cold, calculated precision.
Jacob believed himself untouchable.
He had built his reputation carefully, successful businessman, community leader, perfect husband. Each layer was a carefully constructed lie.
The documents in her briefcase would destroy everything he had built. Bank statements, emails, photographs.
Each piece of evidence was like a carefully sharpened knife, ready to slice through his fabricated life.
She had spent months collecting them, moving silently, watching, waiting. Small towns have long memories. Secrets don't stay buried forever. Maya knew this better than anyone.
Her grandmother had once told her that truth was like water, it always found its way to the surface, no matter how deeply something was hidden.
Her footsteps were measured as she walked towards the town hall.
People looked at her, not understanding the storm she was about to unleash.
A quiet woman. Unremarkable. Invisible. Just the way she had planned. Jacob would be giving his annual community speech. Perfect timing. Perfect location. Maximum impact.
The town hall's wooden floors creaked beneath her feet. The room was filled with the town's most important people.
Politicians, businessmen, community leaders.
All of them would witness his fall. When Jacob saw her, his face changed.
Just for a moment. A flicker of fear. He knew.
Somehow, he understood that everything was about to unravel.
Maya approached the microphone. Her hands were steady.
Her voice would be clear.
No emotion. Just facts.
"Good evening," she said simply. The room fell silent.
What happened next would become legendary in the small town.
A story whispered in cafes and remembered in hushed conversations.
The day Jacob's entire world collapsed, brought down by the very person everyone had overlooked. Revenge, Maya knew, was not about shouting.
It was about precision. About letting truth speak for itself. About giving people exactly what they deserved, wrapped in calm, calculated clarity. The documents spread across the wooden stage like a fan of devastating truth.
Bank records showing illegal transactions. Emails revealing corrupt deals. Photographs proving multiple betrayals.
Each piece of paper was a weapon, carefully chosen, meticulously preserved. Jacob's reputation crumbled in minutes.
Years of carefully constructed lies demolished by simple, undeniable evidence. The room watched in stunned silence as everything they thought they knew about him disintegrated. Some stories end with explosions. Some with whispers. This was a whisper that would echo for years. As Maya walked out, the autumn wind caught her hair. She felt nothing. No triumph. No anger. Just a sense of balance restored.
Justice, she had learned, was not about revenge.
It was about bringing truth into the light. Quietly. Completely. The town would never be the same.
And neither would Jacob. Doctor. Elena Rodriguez stared at the strange signal dancing across her computer screen.
Nothing about it made sense.
The radio telescope had picked up something unusual, a pattern that didn't match any known communication method from Earth. The research station sat quietly in the middle of Chile's remote Atacama Desert.
Massive telescopes pointed towards the endless black sky, listening. Always listening. But this signal was different. It wasn't random noise. It wasn't natural interference. It seemed deliberate. She adjusted her glasses and zoomed in. Mathematical sequences. Precise mathematical sequences that repeated with impossible symmetry. No human technology could generate something this perfect. No natural cosmic event could produce such clean, structured information. Her colleague, Dr. Marcus Chen, walked into the room.
"What's happening?" he asked, noticing the intensity in her eyes.
Elena pointed at the screen. "Look," she whispered.
The signal contained mathematical constants, pi, Fibonacci sequences, prime number progressions. But there was more. Hidden within these universal mathematical languages were complex geometric patterns that seemed to shift and transform.
"This isn't just a signal," Elena murmured. "This is a message." Days turned into weeks. Scientific teams from around the world converged on the small research station. Mathematicians, linguists, astronomers, all trying to crack the cosmic code that had suddenly appeared. The signal originated from a region near the Carina Nebula, thousands of light years away from Earth. Too far for any known human technology to transmit. Yet close enough to suggest something intelligent was attempting communication. Global governments became interested. Military researchers wanted strategic analysis. Academic institutions wanted pure scientific understanding. But Elena understood something deeper was happening.
This wasn't just about discovering alien communication. This was about understanding a potentially different form of intelligence. An intelligence that used mathematics as its primary language of communication.
Slowly, painstakingly, they began decoding fragments. The message wasn't linear like human communication. It was multidimensional. One mathematical sequence could mean multiple things simultaneously. Complex. Intricate. Week 6 of research revealed something extraordinary. The signal contained what seemed like a galactic map. Not a map of stars or planets, but a map of interconnected information networks. Something that suggested a cosmic understanding of communication far beyond human comprehension. "They're showing us how they think," Elena told her team. "Not just what they know, but how knowledge itself is structured in their civilization." The implications were staggering. This wasn't just first contact. This was a potential reshaping of human understanding about intelligence, communication, and our place in the universe. Governments wanted control. Scientific institutions wanted publication rights. But Elena understood this was bigger than human bureaucracy. This was a moment that could change everything humans knew about existence. The signal continued. Patient. Persistent. Waiting to be understood. Researchers worked around the clock. Coffee machines hummed. Computer screens flickered with complex algorithms and translation attempts. The world watched and waited. What they didn't know was that somewhere, thousands of light years away, another civilization was watching. Waiting. Hoping that humans would finally understand the message they had been sending for centuries. A message that said, "You are not alone. You are part of something much larger." Elena looked at the screen again. The mathematical sequences danced, shifted, transformed. Each pattern was like a living, breathing entity of information. Waiting. Communicating. Revealing. Humanity stood at the edge of a new understanding. Not just of alien life, but of intelligence itself. Of communication. Of the vast, complex networks that might connect civilizations across unimaginable distances. The signal continued. Precise. Perfect. Patient. A bridge between worlds had been established. And nothing would ever be the same again.